Hey, everybody, listen up. I got mega huge news. Meat Eater Live is heading back out on the road. That's right. Join me and the crew. Clay Newcomb, Cal, Yanni, Spencer's going to be there. Phil the Engineer's going to be there. Meat Eater Live, headed back out. Now, when you get every ticket, okay, every ticket you buy, you get a signed copy of our new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook. This tour is celebrating the release of the book. Buy a ticket, get a signed copy, Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire, which I'll point out is a $38 value. Here's where we're going to go. April 23rd, the Mesa Art Center in Mesa, Arizona. April 24, the Balboa Theater in San Diego. April 25, the Grove in Anaheim, California. April 27, the Crest Theater in Sacramento. April 29, the Union in Salt Lake City. April 30, the Egyptian in Boise. May 1, the Wilma Theater in Missoula. May 2, the Bing Crosby Theater in Spokane, Washington. May 4, Revolution Hall in Portland, Oregon. And May 5, the last day of the tour, Pantages Theater in Tacoma, Washington. For tickets and more information, visit the events page at themeateater.com. Hope to see you at the show.
Hey, this is Tyler Jones, and you're listening to the Element Podcast.
Tonight, I need you by my side. Hold on to me and keep me in the light. And when the shadows get long and the whippoorwill
What's happening, all my woods people? It's a sunny 80 degrees where I'm at, and I am not in Texas, but my compadre KC Smith is. What's up, dude?
I am in Texas, and luckily I've got some business and stuff that I'm taking care of today, as opposed to just getting out and working straight up in the heat, so that's good. Had a good workout this morning, getting ready for our Gila hunt.
Yeah.
But you, sir, are kicking the season off right now as we speak.
That's
you get
right.
to do the first hunt of the year. What are you doing?
Man, I'm in Nebraska, and I am trying not to get run over by a train currently.
Oh.
They don't have working railroad signs around here. You got to look, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
kind of scary when you're coming around a corner at 60 miles an hour, and all of a sudden there's this, oh, hey, here you go, checking both ways real quick in case 100 tons of steel is coming at you. So, but I'm doing some early season deer hunting. This is the earliest I've ever hunted deer. I've hunted in September, just not quite this early, man. And it's buggy. There's mosquitoes, which last night kind of drove me crazy. I really didn't get out of my truck until right at dark to put the tent up and everything, and kind of get camp set up. And I had shorts and a short sleeve shirt on, and it was just, that's the time of day when they really go off, and it was just crazy. And they're pretty big up here, man. I mean, they're Texas size mosquitoes, so
brought them with you, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. So yeah, I'm up here doing a little deer hunting, man, and I'm currently have not actually really hunted yet, if you want to, put the rubber to the road. And I haven't actually had my bow in my hand really when I was out looking at anything. But I've been putting in a lot of miles in the truck, just trying to get feel for the lay of the land and trying to see if I could spot any bachelor groups or anything hanging out on the edge of a field way back or something like that.
Yeah, and you and I have talked a little bit already, really as live events occur. We've been texting or whatever. Mm-hmm. And you did see a bachelor group of bucks, and that kind of influenced an action that you took today. Is that correct?
Yeah, I just hung a trail camera on the trail, the escape trail. So they were right on the edge of a field, and I came around the edge of this little shelter belt, and 40 yards ahead, this velvet spike shoots into the brush right in front of me across the road, and then a shooter hardhorn 8-point jumps across the road right in front of me. He's not a giant or anything, but
shooter?
Anything over 100.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
I'm just putting
Deer.
an image in your head. It doesn't have to score 100, whatever, but just something that's going to make me happy. And I think that's going to be that, 2 or 3 year old 8-point is kind of what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for a monster or anything. So, I may shoot a dinker, if it comes down to it in the next couple of days, just depending on what I see. I'm having a good time. The weather's pretty pleasant, at least at night. Not too bad in the day compared to Texas, and so it's a good trip, man. I'm glad to be here, and we're gonna see what that camera shows me over the next couple of days. Hope it didn't, mess the area up there where they come out too much, but that's just kind of the chance you take. But tall grass in there, so you just can't help, I guess, if you're gonna hang a camera, getting your pant legs all up in the grass and stuff. So.
Yeah, well, it'll be all right. I think that, it's better. No pressure's better, but, you're usually pretty careful when I've been with you about not, messing the place up too much. What are you hoping to gain from putting that camera out?
It's kind of for fun, but mainly, but, really, that's what it kind of boils down to is I got a camera and I kind of just wanted to see what, I don't know. I mean, it's knowledge, but it's more like future knowledge more than anything. It's like, hey, if I come back here next year or a couple of years, is there going to be is there, what kind of bucks should I be looking for, realistically? What kind of, and also, are they actually using that trail, or are they using the one that's, 20 yards to the north or whatever? So. Yeah,
for sure. And that's kind of a tight view of what we're going to talk about today. This is a situation that we kind of find ourselves in a lot, like kind of making a 24-hour plan. Right, where if you're going to do much public land hunting besides where you live, a lot of times you're going to end up driving somewhere that you've never been before, and you need to be figuring something out within 24 hours of like trying to hone in on an animal to pursue. Right, and that's kind of what you've been doing over the last couple of days. What do you think about that? Is it fun? Are you having fun?
Oh yeah, it's fun, and and you mentioned public land, but also private too. I mean, you think about the application there, as far as you get permission. For me, I've been trying to get permissions in Iowa, and that hasn't really come to a head for me yet. But if it did, I'd still be kind of employing the same tactics of trying to learn something pretty quick, and so
yeah.
But it's a stressful thing, I think, a little bit. Luckily, the Nebraska tag is not too bad. If I was spending $400 or $500, like maybe one of the other primo states or whatever, you might find me even more stressed, I guess. Which that's just kind of part of the deal. I mean, you play college football, and it's not always good plays and happiness. It's pretty stressful at times. So, yeah, man, there's that. I have tried to take our good friend Tony Peterson's advice and, spend some time just kind of learning the land and looking and not necessarily hunting, just doing some observing. And I'm about observed out at this point, I think, 24 hours into it or less.
I figure that's burning you up. We've talked a little bit about this before, and you really don't like the idea of, air quotes, wasting an evening just looking around, right? Like you feel like you're not doing good unless you're in a stand. Do you still feel that way after trying it?
I mean, we'll see as this trip progresses. I don't feel like it's that necessarily that I don't, it's no good. It's just, man, I want to feel like I have a shot that day. I went on that sheep hunt the first year I went in 2016, and we just sat for days, and we saw sheep on, like, I don't know if it was day 3 or 4 or something. It felt like forever. We saw sheep, and I quickly being 20 minutes, realized that there was no play going to be made on these sheep that day. Even though it was like pretty early morning, we spotted them. It was like the guide had no intentions of us going across the lake and trying to get on these sheep, and so I just don't like that style of hunting, man. I don't love it. I like to be in the action, and feeling like that's why I like bird hunting so much, probably. But I mean, I like to feel like I've got a chance all the time, and so it's not necessarily an evening wasted driving around, but you're using a lot of gas, and you pretty much know you're not gonna shoot one, so
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, let's talk a little bit about kind of the steps you took before you got to Nebraska, like to prepare yourself. We're talking about making a 24-hour plan, like once you get there and executing those 24 hours, what you're going to do. But there's kind of like some homework you got to do beforehand. And we were talking earlier, it's kind of like cramming for a college test as opposed to, taking it to heart, like something you're going to want to learn for the rest of your life. You're really trying to get as much in and just inundate yourself as much as you can right beforehand. So, leading up to this trip, what kind of prep did you take in the first couple of days before you left?
Yeah, man, it's a good point that you made there, and like the experiences and stuff like that, and the knowledge learned while experiencing this are going to help you in the future. Something that'll help you for the rest of your life, maybe, but not necessarily like, I'm trying to figure out this place for the rest of my life or anything necessarily, So, for me, I didn't really do a whole lot like leading up directly in the few days before, other than just pack, my tail off as much as I could and do as many dishes and cleaning as I could so I could leave the house in decent shape, But, prior to the few days before, in the weeks before, I did a lot of map scouting. And really what it boiled down to was me looking at, basically, and this stuff looks a lot different than what I thought it would. And so, there's that. But looking at kind of big, sizable blocks of timber, with some kind of drainage leading to ag, because I feel like that's kind of the way to get on them this time of year, is to be, kind of basically in between them and ag, but really close to beds. So, talking to our friend Tony about this, staging timber is what we were kind of looking to get into. And so I think that it's a difficult thing to find, especially right now on this place, just for a certain reason. But, it's I think that I might have some staging timber / bedding timber located for this evening's hunt, and I actually found that that was kind of a preliminary scouting find that I had, and it kind of hit me today because I drove around last night and looked and drove around this morning, and out of all, I didn't see a buck this morning. So, out of all the driving I did, I saw 3 bucks last night, and I kind of got locked into like all these 3 bucks were in the same, 100-yard stretch or whatever. That's where I need to be. Well, my wind doesn't set up for me to hunt that. So, I'm trying to game plan and come up, and I just totally forgotten that my first afternoon where I wanted to hunt, after seeing everything. So, luckily I kind of had an epiphany in it, and I'm headed there right now, actually, in the truck. So you're going to the place that you had originally map scouted and decided, this is my first play. Like, this is the first thing I'm going to do when I get there, and see if I can learn from there. Yeah, and that was based on, I was going to be determined upon what the wind was, so luckily I have that wind, though. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of led you to this place, and then what still makes you think it's a good idea after seeing the terrain that you're in?
What led me to this place is like it just jumped out at me as being probably the best setup for, bedding, staging timber, and ag, and then also happened to be pretty remote for this particular area. There's not just a ton of remote places to hunt in my region here, so it ended up being pretty remote. I think, getting half mile to a mile into somewhere without being, right next to a road is kind of difficult in a lot of this. So, that's kind of what you deal with in mile by mile country. So, those are the kind of the two things that I saw, and I'm hoping I'm actually about to find out hopefully pretty soon if I'm actually right about this agriculture, and if it's beans, then could be a good thing. I guess corn too, but I've seen them in all of it. I've seen them in the milo and in the corn and beans and everything else. So it's kind of difficult actually to see which one they're going to actually be in. So
yeah. So you actually seen deer eating in milo fields?
I haven't. Man, I wish I'd had my phone ready to go, but this morning I'm driving with the window down kind of slow, and all of a sudden I just hear something just bust out like right next to me in this milo field, and I knew, it sounds like a hog, but I know what it is. And so I just throw the truck in park, and I run out and take off and climb up the hill, and I can see into the milo now, right there on the edge of the road. And there was deer everywhere. I don't know. I mean, some of them were. One of them was the one I had busted was like bounding off through it, and then there was like I got a video of a deer head. She's just sitting there looking at me from about 50 yards. It's just the top of her head and her ears. So, they're using it. I don't know if it's a cover thing or not. I hadn't figured that out yet because I hadn't really, everything I've done is just flying by real quick, So,
yeah.
If I was to sit over a milo field, it might be different.
Have you not been to the place that you're going to tonight yet?
No, I haven't. Yeah, this is a new road, new place. Haven't looked at it, so I'm actually getting real close here. So probably gonna figure out live whether it's whether it's got agriculture. Some of this stuff. Like I was looking at a place today that it looks like corn, and I get there and it's just like hemp and sunflowers, just overgrown, 8 foot tall. So. Makes it difficult to get into some places when it's like that too.
So how reliable are the aerial images kind of to real world scenarios with the ag fields? Like if you see something and you think, that looks like corn, or it looks like beans, I guess those two can swap back and forth. But like, do you feel like where you see an ag field is an ag field?
Overall, yeah, and it's pretty accurate. As to what kind of agriculture it is too. I don't know that it's it's not 100% at all, but it's pretty accurate overall, and a lot of the assumptions I had made were correct. So just as far as like assuming what agriculture was there. So yeah, it's all it's all looked, pretty similar, just as like, and I don't know if it's a year where they've had an extreme amount of rain or what, but man, this, some of this prairie is just pretty awesome. It's tall, lots of sunflowers, and dude, I have never seen so many dove.
Doves?
Yes, it is nuts, man. I'm telling you, it's crazy.
Did you bring a shotgun?
I did not, and I think if I did, it would cost me money to hunt dove, like quite a bit. So, kind of.
Yeah, I don't really think about that. That's the funny thing about going out of state is like states just treat their licensing system different.
Mm-hmm.
You go to Texas and you buy a license, and it has all the tags and pretty much everything you need on it.
Yep.
You might have to buy like a migratory stamp or something like that, but it's not that much money.
Yeah.
And then for instance, you go to a different state and it's like, well, you're just buying a deer tag, and then if you want to shoot a turkey, you got to go buy a turkey tag and this and that.
Yeah.
It's kind of those things to consider. How did that go for you, heading to Nebraska, like the tag purchasing and figuring all that kind of stuff out?
Man, it was pretty easy. The one thing about Nebraska is that their licensing or their wildlife, I guess it's called Game and Parks. It's their website looks kind of like some kind of just regular old like recreation website, like rec.gov or something. I don't know. It's kind of doesn't look like a normal Fish and Game or whatever. And so like when I went into like buying my license, I was like, do I really do it through this, or is this just like an informational website? And it almost, I guess I was kind of a little bit hesitant to just throw my money to this website that I didn't for sure know that was, it a real website. So, but yeah, it was pretty easy, man. Self-explanatory once I got in there, and I mean, I did call to confirm, but yeah, it was correct and what I had assumed. So not too bad, man. I mean, yeah.
So you did it all online?
Yeah, and you just print the tag out and go for it.
Oh.
So.
Man, see, I'm just like old school. I enjoy going and buying a license at a store.
Me too,
I don't know
but
why.
when it's, 10, 12 hours away, it's like, I don't really have time to stop and do this today.
Yeah.
I just want to get there and find deer. That's what I'm trying to do. So I do like that too. And I do it, for our local one and everything. But, yeah, it was pretty easy. I just did it the night before, printed it out, and now I've got it with me and ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, that's cool. Have you made it to the spot that you're talking about yet?
Man, I'm pretty much here.
Can you see the ag?
I've kind of stopped a little bit short, just because I didn't know for sure. I wanted to get I'm on these kind of hills. I'm looking at some different stuff here, but let me look on my map here and just get my bearings a little bit. I think I still have a little bit to go. Yeah,
for the audience, I know exactly where Tyler is heading on the map, so I'm kind of curious. It's one of the aspects of this hunt is that Tyler is nice enough to include me in on the map stuff, which I thoroughly enjoy. So I'm kind of really intrigued by just being able to be here in East Texas and still correspond and talk about the maps and kind of get Tyler's perspective on what things look like, at that moment in time. Just in general, how much different does it look than what you thought it was going to look where you're at?
Man, it's I don't know. It's a lot different. Little drainages that have trees on the map and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, that's just going to be, it's going to be. It doesn't look. It's just way more cover and way more deer than Kansas. It's just.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I mean. There's a ton of pretty sizable plum trees, and the plums are all they're ready, man. I mean,
oh my!
And so that's another food source, that who knows how hard they're hitting them. But I hadn't really seen any deer just smoking plums.
Yeah,
it's all been in the fields and stuff. Of course, it's hard to see into these plum thickets sometimes because they're just really thick and they're right on the edge of the road. So trying not to get stuck here. A bunch of washes, man. Crazy.
Don't do that. You by yourself, it would not be good.
Yeah.
So in the past 24 hours, pretty much, you've been there 20 hours. All right. And you're once you enter the stand, it's going to kind of be, that's the culmination of your 24-hour period of getting there, gaining information and making a plan. You've seen a bunch of deer. You said you've seen limited amounts of bucks, but you and I both kind of hypothesized that in the morning, it's not like they're not there. There's still going to be some sort of decent buck to doe ratio. So they're probably hitting the timber early, but have you seen enough deer to put a pattern to just what you think deer are doing, or is it just so broad that it's just they eat and they go to bed?
I mean, that's definitely it's as compared to some places I've been. I think there's a definite reliable sense of bed to feed. As it's pretty good. It looks, you can see that deer overall on a landscape. The general movement pattern is, that they're coming from bigger swaths of timber or whatever you want to call it. Using lower spots, drainages, and side hills and that kind of thing to end up on ag at night. And it's just, but it's just so much ag, man. It's it's a lot of deer, but it's also a lot of ag. Which one are they, which agricultural field are they using the most? I mean, it's almost easier when you have, sorry, I'm getting distracted by tons of tracks in browse.
It's not a bad thing.
It's almost easier when you have one ag field at the head of a drainage or something like that, or one ag field next to a block of timber or whatever, because like that's the destination more than likely for that block of timber. But if you have 3 or 4 surrounding that thing within a quarter to a half mile, it's like there could be 40 deer in that little block of timber, and it's still going to be like, well, I don't really know which one they're going to, so.
Yeah. Have you thought about looking at the map and maybe narrowing it down by looking around for isolated agriculture?
I have a little bit. But when you're hunting public, you're kind of, you're limited by where your public actually is. So, which is same with private, so it's just, I guess hunting deer in general, you're limited by where your boundaries are. And so, there's just not a lot of places where it's, just, I don't know. They plant something everywhere they can here, it seems like, unless they're, I guess, getting paid for some CRP program stuff. But, that's kind of the way it's looking right now. I mean, it's all kind of new to me in a way. And so I'm trying to figure it out. Like I said, we don't really come from or hunt a lot of areas with agriculture, which is cool. To be here with so many deer and everything. So I'm just trying to figure it all out. I mean, I've got, I think, some good game plans, and I'm pretty much ready to just go hunt and observe and make assumptions based off of what I'm observing. Because I definitely think I've got some good spots. It's just going to be a matter of, I don't know. I don't know if I can learn from the truck a whole lot more as far as like what they're eating or what they're coming from and that kind of thing, because you're just passing by and seeing glimpses of it, so. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Are you, so you're going to shoot one tonight, but like if you weren't going to, do you have like a plan from there, or is what happens this evening really going to dictate what your plan is for the next day?
If I don't shoot one tonight, I don't really have a plan going forward. It's going to, this is something I'm going to do here. I've got just a little bit of time once we get done with this podcast to basically look at wind direction for the morning. I like to know my wind direction for the morning. That way, when I'm sitting in the stand, I can always, make assumptions as to what I might do in the morning, and, if I'm hunting a particular spot, especially if it's got good deer on it, like I want to know that I can or can't come back in the morning and hunt that spot. And if I can, how am I going to set up differently to make it happen? So, basically when I get off the phone here, I'm going to look at my weather, see what the wind is assumed to be doing in the morning. And then I'm going to go up over this hill that I can't see over and see if this is a continued Milo field that I'm looking at, or if it changes, because it almost looks like it might change up here on the aerial. So,
so what you can see right now is Milo.
Yeah, and I'm sitting on the for your sake, the southern portion of this particular area next to the road, and it's Milo up to kind of the crest of the hill, probably a couple hundred yards out there. So once I can take a look over that, I'll see what the rest of that ag looks like, and I've probably got a pretty good haul, it looks like, into my spot here. So that's a good thing. I don't know, not too bad, but maybe half or 3/4 of a mile, something like that. So that's pretty good for around here.
Are you going to try to get in there pretty early and have plenty of time to let things settle? Or
I think so, man. I just don't. I don't really want to sweat. My truck says 92 right now, so it's pretty warm. Which I don't know if that's true, because I've been kind of idling and stuff. But it was supposed to be 84 today, so who knows what it actually is. It's going to be a lot hotter tomorrow. And I may do a water thing tomorrow. There's some different properties I haven't looked at except for on aerial, and that's part of my pregame scouting, that I wanted to kind of have that option if it got hot, to be able to look, to go and look at, basically some tanks or whatever in the corner of some sections and stuff like that, and just see, I want to be able to walk over there, and if there's deer tracks on it, then maybe that's where I need to be, in the evening or afternoon tomorrow. So,
well,
anyway.
whenever you're, we're talking about kind of wrapping up this 24 hours, first 24 hours you've been there. And that's how it applies to where you are there in Nebraska. Do you feel like every place that you go to, every different terrain type, whether it's more open country or, you're heading to big woods or whatever, do you feel like you're going to treat it the same? Or is that driving around the best thing to do no matter what? Or do you feel like it's going to depend on the habitat type and deer density and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, where we hunt, you know what it's like. It's a little more like a big woods scenario. It's not, northern Wisconsin or anything probably, but it's a little more like big woods. And we do we learn a lot from driving, I think. But at the same time, we don't see many deer driving. So kind of, I think you definitely would treat it differently. Here in more open area, plains, Midwest. I mean, it doesn't have to be super open, which a lot of this isn't, but just broken landscape. I guess you can come around the bend and see something new, as opposed to being in the redwood forest and just seeing redwoods, or whatever. So.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know if there's many deer there to hunt, but
I don't know either.
It might not let you do that there.
I doubt it.
So this kind of this hunt somewhat parallels another hunt that you're going to go on later in the season. You do Iowa Tag, which is also a place that I guess we went there in 2017, but we didn't go there on a hunting trip. It was a shed hunting trip, and it was late February, early March. Is that right?
Early March, yep.
Early March, and we got to see a bunch of deer sign and whatnot, and we got out and walked around a ton and really didn't see a ton of deer from the vehicle. Do you feel like you're going to drive up there and treat it the same, or are you going to have a destination in mind as soon as you get there, get out of the truck and go?
I'm going to have a little more destination in mind there. I've got, I don't know, it's different, dude, there, as well as I do. There's quite a bit of land and quite a bit of agriculture and quite a bit of timber. It's just the perfect mix. I mean, it's why it's the most big deer come out of that area. So yeah, it's I'll treat it similarly, because I think that if I go, especially if it's before it's bare bones, no leaves on the trees or anything, I think you'll see more deer driving around, as opposed to when we were there, it's just skeleton landscape. I think those deer really want to be, and after hunting season, I think they really want to be far from roads and deep in the timber. So I probably will do some driving and learning, but we've done a little bit of it, so I kind of know what that's going to look like, or have a pretty good idea. And I think more than anything, I've kind of got my plans I think even located some bedding and stuff like that just via map scouting. It looks like so. That is going to help tremendously. Whereas here, I don't know what bedding is. Bedding could be this Milo field in front of me, or this big blue stem, or somewhere in cottonwood or cedar country, or some shelter belt or whatever. So it's just, lots of places for deer to hide and lots of deer. But yeah, I think have a little better idea when I go to Iowa for sure. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that what we know about Iowa is that there's a ton of deer there, and there are big deer there. Quite a many more than what there are in other places. And I think that you've probably had 3+ years of knowing the general area you're going to go hunt to, and your map scouting is just so much different there. And I think that there's a different expectation with the Iowa Tag too. You're going up there wanting to shoot a really big buck. You wouldn't even be contemplating that 8 point that you saw earlier if this was Iowa, right? Mm-hmm. And that's okay to say. I think it's just they're different tags, right? Yeah. So I think that you're going to approach it a lot differently, and I think that we've got a pretty good grasp on what a big buck is looking for. Whereas where you're going right now, you're really trying to go in and just shoot a representative of the species, and there's a lot of different ways to do that. I think so. I think that they're probably two different hunts.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Do you think that? And I'm asking. This is probably a question that's better asked later. But and so far in your experience, do you feel like doing this trip kind of helps you prepare for a similar trip like that Iowa trip later?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think anytime I can get out and try to learn how deer behave and become more familiar with it and have expertise or experience with just hanging and hunting. Expertise. Yeah, definitely messed that one up. So, having just hanging and hunting, man, and stuff like that. Like, I haven't actually done a hanging hunt this year. And so, another part of me not going this morning was the fact that, like, my truck was packed, but it wasn't packed to hop out and do a hanging hunt. So, I mean, I literally just, stopped at a gas station and spent probably close to an hour and a half, like reorganizing, cleaning my truck, because it had turned into like a bomb pretty much already. And so cleaning it, and then just like basically got my pack completely ready to go, so I can, at this point where I'm at, I can dip out with my pack, my stand, and my bow, and it's all, my bow's in my truck now. It's not in the case anymore, and arrows are ready and broadheads are on them and everything. So it's ready to just basically grab and go, which is something that you and I, we do have that kind of situation when we go out and look, and we're hunting out of state or whatever, and looking around public land. We're pretty much ready to jump out at, a drop of a hat most of the time when we do that thing. And it's kind of like like a organized chaos, basically, so. Mm-hmm. You kind of know where everything is. It's not the cleanest, but it's somewhat organized, and it's ready to go, and that's where we're at. So I'm excited to jump out. I mean, I don't know. I had texted you earlier, and the lack of, with as many deer as I've seen and as few bucks as I've seen, it kind of worries me. I wonder what the deal is, and I'm pretty sure that this particular area, this region, I think that it gets a lot of hunting pressure. There's just a lot of hunters, local hunters in Nebraska, I think, overall. They're just kind of that kind of people, I guess. And, I kind of worry that, like, have all the, or a lot of the bucks been shot. I think there's definitely some of that going on here, but I don't know. I'm just kind of worried. I told you earlier that I'm going to be on, I'm going to be in a good area, but it's not, the bachelor group that the bachelor group of that area doesn't come down that trail. They go 150 yards over there or whatever. So if I'm not on that trail and I don't see them, then we're in deep water at that point.
Yeah. Well, it's all right. I think if you can go hunt tonight and you don't see bucks, like, at all, I think like you've checked a spot off your list. And how many days do you have? 5?
There's really pretty much till we go to the Gila, but I don't want to stay out here that long. Yeah, I'll probably come back after 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, I got you. So, I mean, you don't have a ton of time to just bump around. Like we treat the local hunts where you're just like, let's go try here, whatever. You feel like you've got a whole season. You don't have that, but you still do have, like, and I think any good hunter would still be crossing things off the list, right? Like, and you can, if you don't see a large amount of bucks or anything you want to target tonight, you'll probably be looking elsewhere. So either way, you're going to learn something that's going to be beneficial for the rest of the trip. Yeah. So I know you are ready to get out there and kill these things, or at least this one thing, because you only get to shoot one.
Yeah.
But why don't you tell us how it's going to go down tonight, and tell us, like, what your setup's going to be, and, like, if you envision where you're fixing to sit, what's it going to be like?
I like this, man. So,
all right, good.
I'm sitting here, and I can't really see where I'm going to sit. Like, I can't really see the trees because of this hill that's like 100 yards in front of me or whatever. But I can see this. I can see this milo field. So here's my assumption. Now that I see it, or see what I can see, is that this is going to be, and I don't even know if I'm going to hunt here if it continues to be milo all the way up through this entire field. But if it is beans, I probably will sit. I mean, I definitely will sit here, or corn. If it's milo, I'll make my decision and just say I sit here. There is a shelter belt on the east side of this field, and I'm not sure what it's made of yet. I think there's probably going to be some cedars in it and maybe some like scrubby kind of western elms or whatever they are, but some kind of little elm windbreak on the edge of this field. And then there is bedding cover to the east of this field. So I'm on the east side, sitting in a tree on the east side of this field in a shelter belt, and then there's bedding cover to the east of this field. And I think that at the closest point of this field, of this shelter belt, I think is where the deer are going to gravitate to from that bedding cover. So I think what's going to happen is I'm sitting here with the wind kind of blowing in my face and just watching the edge of the tree line over there. And I think eventually I'm going to see maybe 2 or 3 bucks coming at me. And one of them's going to be about a 110 class 8 or 9 point. And he's going to walk right over to me about 27 yards, and he's going to give me a broadside shot right before he enters the field, right before dark. And I'm going to make a good shot, and I'm going to celebrate tonight with, maybe not tonight, but for sure tomorrow night at least, with some backstrap cooked on a hot iron skillet.
Oh, man, that got real cool real quick. You going to watch him fall?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's. I don't think he's going to be able to get back to the timber if I make a good shot. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah,
that's cool. So one thing you didn't really include there, that was a great story, by the way, and I think it's going to happen. Is that you didn't really talk about like are you going to be in a stand? You going to be on the ground, or how's that going to what's that going to look like?
I think I'm going to have to be in a stand. I don't think I can kill a deer from the ground here hardly at all. I mean. I'm just telling you, the grass is so tall. If it's not grass, it's 5 foot milo. If it's not milo, it's 8 foot corn. And I haven't seen a ton of beans. So anyway, it's there's not a whole lot of places to kill one from the ground right now, I don't think. So it's going to have to be from a stand, which I've got kind of a new system there that I'm trying out tonight for the first time. So. Cool. It's all in my backpack and ready to go, which is kind of interesting. So,
even the stand?
No, the stand is not. Everything else is, though. Yeah, I kind of assumed that people could infer that, I guess.
I didn't know if you were keeping something from us or not. I didn't know if there's something new up your sleeve.
A little 10-inch by 10-inch platform.
Yeah, dude, I think that would be bad to the bone. I think we need those.
It's like a 1-footer flamingo, the flamingo stand.
That's right. Oh, that's funny. That's cool, man. Well, I can't tell you how much I hope it happens because it just would be a ton of fun. I just can't wait to watch another video of you shooting something because it's a lot of fun.
Well, I hope that it is. I hope that I shoot something first of all, and then I hope that it's on video because I know in a few days – when I get back, we're going to the Gila, and you're definitely going to shoot something on film. So it's going to be a good time. And this is actually pretty good prep, I feel like, for the Gila hunt. I camped on my own last night in a tent that I'm going to end up buying because you let me borrow, and it's really awesome. And I know you know this, man, because we go pretty hard when we do this. But I don't need to eat as much as I do when I'm at home. I probably need to, but I'm just going so much that I don't think about it. Whereas if I'm at home editing something and I feel the slightest twinge in my stomach, it's okay. Well, what can I go over there and grab real quick? When food is so accessible, as opposed to like if you pack your food way down in the back of everything, then you don't want to get it out. You know what I mean? It's diet 101 right there.
That is some good diet advice right there for sure. Speaking of diet advice, after you smoke this one night, you said you're probably not going to eat the backstraps tonight. So you got a good burger joint scoped out up there?
No.
I mean, what's that like?
I mean, it's pretty remote, man.
Casey's Pizza?
I don't know. No.
Ooh.
I know. I've got some good food with me, so it'll be one of those deals. I'll just have to heat it up on my camp stove. But I don't really have like a celebratory meal other than the backstrap on a cast iron skillet planned. I brought salt, pepper, and butter, so that's going to happen, I think.
Yeah. Well, on your way out, just grab a couple of ears of corn, just rip them off plants. And
Dude,
just cook them.
thought about that earlier, man. I guess you could boil those, huh?
Yeah, or just put them on the fire in the husk, man.
Just roast them up. Yeah. I don't really.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure if it's legal for me to have a fire out here other than my camp stove, so it might be kind of tough.
Yeah.
But I could definitely boil them. I bought 2 pots at Dollar General on the way up for $8. So.
All right. Well, don't be disappointed if it's not sweet like you're expecting, because apparently there's a lot of varieties, and the deer corn variety and stuff like that. Cattle feed stuff doesn't have near as good a taste as what we're used to eating. But it'll still be delicious and nutritious. So
that's good.
Anyways, man, I can't wait to see how it goes, dude. Be sure and wear that social media out so we can see what's going on.
I'm trying, dude.
I'm dying.
It's a tough thing
I know,
to do this,
man.
to film it by yourself, the whole trip like this, because man, before I looked up and was done dropping footage last night, it was 10 o'clock, and
jeez, yeah.
I mean, I hadn't eaten anything still, so I had to grab something to eat about 9:45 and try to get in my sleeping bag without letting mosquitoes in, and try to get some sleep. And I didn't sleep that well. And 5:30 came early, which was, it's going to come even earlier tomorrow because I'm not getting up at 5:30 if I'm going to be hanging and hunting. So who knows? I might drive tomorrow though too. Just.
Yeah, well, it's a pretty good reason to shoot one tonight, if that's the case.
That's what I'm thinking, dude. I'm getting the elk. I'm getting into elk shape right now, I think, doing this. But at the same time, I wouldn't mind doing it hard for a day or two and having some reward,
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. Well,
anyway.
Good luck, dude. I can't wait to see what happens. It looks like an awesome spot from what I've seen. And I feel like the game plan you've put together is good. And something I really like is that right now you're going in and hunting a place that was your first instinct. And I think that there's a lot to that. And everybody's going to kind of derive their instincts from different things. Like for me, it's for sure looking at maps. For you, it's a bunch of different stuff. But there's something to be said about your first instinct, like killing Nameless in 17?
Yep.
Yeah. And whenever you shot Nameless, like that was the first place that we saw, and we were like, man, that's going to be a spot right there. And we went and made it happen. And I think that's just something, there's something to it. If you sit around and overthink things too much and kind of talk yourself out of something because it's like, it's too far, it's too hard, or it's too easy, it's too close to the road, you can come up with all these excuses not to do something. But really, like if your mind's telling you it's a good thing to do, might as well go try it out.
Yeah, dude, I'm with you on that. I think your instinct, especially like if you're an experienced hunter, your instinct is typically because of past experiences, a lot of times. And so I think that that's one of those things that's kind of an intangible. And I think there's a lot of great deer hunters out there, man. And I think that a lot of them, I think pretty much all of them have that instinct that they can rely on a lot of times to get them into deer. And I think, as far as from our standpoint as like a trying to be on the media side of things or the content side of things, I think there's definite benefit that some guys have to being able to teach it. And some guys, they can't teach it at all, and they just have that instinct. So unless you're with them, you may not ever learn that from them. So that's one thing that, you and I try to work on a lot, is just being able to teach and relay why, how to hunt deer better or how we've messed it up or whatever. So, but yeah, I mean, I think that the instinct, as you gain experience, really is like such a key thing. Let me ask you a question real quick before you go.
All right. Let's hear it.
I'm sitting here staring at this Milo. If it's Milo all the way in there, do you think I should still hunt here, or do you think I should go try to find a better option? Because I got a couple other options that I think would be pretty decent, but might be pretty mosquitoed up,
And here's what I think. I think that deer in different places are different. So I think I've heard people say that deer will eat Milo. I haven't seen them do it, but I haven't been to every place. So I think it's definitely worth you walking in there and looking at the sign as you go. And if you're getting along and you're going along and you don't see any deer sign at all, and you've covered a quarter mile or whatever it is, and you're between ag and bedding or supposed bedding, and you're not seeing much deer sign, I think maybe you would be better off going somewhere else. But if you're suspicious of the Milo, but everything else points to the fact that there's still deer there, I think you just treat it like another ag field. If they're hitting it, they're hitting it. It doesn't really matter if it's Milo, corn, beans, sorghum, whatever it is, right? As long as deer are using it as a food source, it's a food source. So I think that's the way I would approach it. I wouldn't pull up like you are there and then say, ooh, it's Milo, I'm going somewhere else. You know what I mean? Because from the map, we can tell that it's going, like, deer are there. So I think it's definitely worth going in, at least investigating, and then seeing, what you think. I'm hoping that you roll up in there and there's some fresh rubs and, a couple licking branches, and you're like, oh, this is the spot right here.
That would be cool, man. I haven't seen just a ton of, really, other than the roads, there's hardly any bare dirt out here to find, anything scrape wise, I know they can scrape that out or whatever, but it's still difficult when it's such tall grass and tracks and that kind of thing. So, and I have not seen any real, I saw one old rub. I hadn't been out a whole lot either, but there was a bunch of tracks down here about a quarter mile on the road where I was at. So, and what, another thing that I think, that if there is deer sign in there, I think that gives me even more of an advantage is that the Milo is cover, so I think that a good buck, would find safety in that cover and find the willingness to come out earlier when he's going into a field that's basically cover, Yeah. So that makes me excited for sure. I just need to get in there. I'm thinking about just busting to the top of this hill about 250 yards and taking a peek without my stand and everything, maybe. Yeah. So, anyway, I guess I'm going to go do that then.
All right, dude. Well, get after it, man.
I will.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'll keep you in the loop. And for the listener, you guys will have to hear it at a different time. You won't be in the loop as much. But
you got the inside scoop.
Yeah, that's right, man. So, last thing real quick, you guys have been listening through this, and I appreciate it. If you like what we're doing, a review is something that's super handy to us, and we're getting really close to that mark, and we're only a few weeks out now, but I think we're going to get to that mark where we give away a camera. So I've got this camera in my back seat, and I'm actually not going to put it out. Just, I hope you guys know that I have integrity to not do that. But it's a brand new camera. So
why did you bring it? Why'd you bring it?
Well, it was in there. Yeah, I know. It was in here from the other night when we did that live podcast on Facebook.
Oh,
so
okay.
Anyway, so reviews, man. We're getting close to being able to give away a camera as well. We're going to give away a lot of cool stuff. The binoculars, which I'm taking in with me for the first time today, too. So make sure you do that. Be looking for these videos to come soon. Like I said, it's hard to do by yourself, but if I can start getting into some deer and maybe even kill one, it'll give me a couple of days before we go to the Gila to put together a little series from this, hopefully. So anything else, Casey?
Man, that's all I know, dude. I just can't wait.
Me too. All right, well, I guess that's going to be about it for us. Guys, remember, this is your element.
Living it.
Stay on the bright side of the
Hey everybody, listen up. I got mega huge news. Meat Eater Live is heading back out on the road. That's right. Join me and the crew. Clay Newcomb, Cal, Yanni, Spencer's going to be there. Phil the engineer's going to be there. Meat Eater Live headed back out. Now, when you get every ticket, okay? Every ticket you buy, you get a signed copy of our new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook. This tour is celebrating the release of the book. Buy a ticket, get a signed copy, Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire, which I'll point out is a $38 value. Here's where we're going to go. April 23rd, the Mesa Arts Center in Mesa, Arizona. April 24, the Balboa Theater in San Diego. April 25, the Grove in Anaheim, California. April 27, the Crest Theater in Sacramento. April 29, the Union in Salt Lake City. April 30, the Egyptian in Boise. May 1, the Wilma Theater in Missoula. May 2, the Bing Crosby Theater in Spokane, Washington. May 4, Revolution Hall in Portland, Oregon. And May 5, the last day of the tour, Pantages Theater in Tacoma, Washington. For tickets and more information, visit the events page at themeateater.com. Hope to see you at the show.